like Sean is playing with those food a little bit.
That's it.
Will do it.
45 seconds.
Sean Strickland.
Another jab.
Oh.
1-2 on that right Allen. Strickland trying to end it. And he does. Sean Strickland. Wow.
I want to go down there and punch all you fuckers in the face. Jesus Christ, you guys are mean.
Would you like to learn some Chinese?
I feel like I should already start. How do I say work harder, child? So when I start my clothing company and I open up a couple sweatshops, how do I get to the meat and potatoes of work harder? No food for you till you finish. I was a poor white trash white man. Then I took a fight on short notice. I got paid, so I don't fucking need money.
This man was doubted more than any champion in UFC history, and somehow he keeps proving everybody wrong. Not once, but twice, he became the most improbable UFC champion in combat sports history as over a plus 300 betting underdog in the octagon. At UFC 293, fans gave him absolutely no chance to beat Israel Adesanya. He dominated his way to victory. Then in February, he was counted out again, a plus 225 underdog against the on-fire Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He stopped him within 3 rounds. Then, he was lined up for another title shot in which nearly nobody thought he'd win. But this time was different. Standing across from him was one of the most feared fighters in combat sports history, an undefeated 15-0 monster who's finished all but 3 of his opponents, Khamzat Chimaev. But somehow, once again, Sean Strickland shocked the world. But let's go back in time to where it all began. Sean's upbringing was brutal. He was a young kid growing up in Corona, California, in an extremely toxic and abusive environment.
Well, right now, life is good. I got money. I got a belt, dude. Everything is good. But, like, you couldn't pay me to go fucking relive my life. Like, if you said, hey, Sean, you want to go hit the restart button? Like, fuck you.
Really?
Fuck no. You're a kid with a piece of shit father, and, like, you just gravitate towards anything masculine. And, like, there's a big old white racist redneck, and I'm angry. So, next thing I know, dude, I'm like...
Right.
know,
you're just saying racist shit you heard at the house.
Yeah, exactly. So, I get kicked out, and then I start training, like, ninth grade, I started training, and then, dude, like, I realized I wasn't a racist. I was just angry. Like, oh, I'm gonna fucking kill you and this and that. And I'll never forget, like, he would talk about, like burn her face with acid. And mind you, I'm in elementary school. I remember, like, laying in bed. Like, I remember I stopped believing in God, man. Like, fucking, like, I had fucking, yeah, it's crazy shit, dude. Crazy shit, man.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Huh?
Yeah, man.
Have you ever heard that? Yeah, I'm sorry, bud.
So, man.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That's all good, dude.
Sean Strickland started his life-changing MMA journey at 14 years old, mainly for the fact it was the only sport he didn't get kicked out of. It was a way for Sean to work out some of his anger, and next thing he knew, Strickland turned pro at 16 years old, and he then found his calling in life. His first professional MMA fight was on March 22, 2008, where he won via second-round submission. Then he continued the early portion of his career, going 13-0 with 10 finishes, fighting for the King of the Cage promotion. After the first half-decade of his MMA career, winning 5 straight title fights in the KOTC, Sean Strickland was given the call to fight in the UFC. Sean's UFC debut came on March 15th, 2014 against Bubba McDaniel at UFC 171, who he submitted at the end of the first round. A little over 2 months later, he won a split decision against Luke Barnett, leading to an undefeated 15-0 start to kickstart his UFC campaign at 2-0. Eventually, his first career loss came in his next UFC fight in February of 2015 to current UFC veteran Santiago Ponzinibbio, dropping a unanimous decision to the crafty striker after 3 rounds. But Sean's life drastically changed on December 11, 2018, just 45 days after his second round stoppage victory over Nordin Taleb, to earn the 20th victory of his professional career. A van turned out in front of Strickland while he was riding his motorcycle. Sean woke up in the hospital, going into surgery with a doctor telling him, "You got hit by a car and you're going into knee surgery." And he said he was just crying because all he could think about was his careers and dreams gone.
And the accent kind of made me grow as an individual, because a lot of my fights, I've been so afraid of losing that I wasn't even enjoying it. And now, like, as you've seen with Jack, going through that, like, I don't really care about winning so much anymore. I just want to have good fights. Like, I want the fans to enjoy watching me, and I just want to have some wars for you guys. That's about it, man.
Sean had doctors telling him that he shouldn't fight again, but at the end of the day, this is all he wanted to do. He dropped out of high school to become a UFC fighter. This is all Sean has done and focused on since he was 14 or 15. But Sean managed to literally fight his way back to being healthy, stepping back into the UFC cage exactly 2 years later on Halloween during the COVID pandemic in October of 2020.
Sean Strickland was involved in a motorcycle accident, got a second round stoppage of Nordin Taleb down at welterweight. That was in October of 2018. So here he is 2 years later to the week and coming back at middleweight.
I'll give you a chance to win. Just go hard.
I told you.
Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack.
Think Strickland wants to fight?
5 seconds, Jack.
He took a unanimous decision victory against Jack Marshman. Sean would end up fighting the world's top world-class fighters throughout the next several years, taking on competition such as Nasruddin Imavov, Brendan Allen, Jared Cannonier, Uriah Hall, Jack Hermanson, middleweight Alex Pereira, and even who Sean said himself was the turning point in his UFC career, when he lost a unanimous decision victory to UFC legend and future Hall of Famer Kamaru Usman. Sean said it was the key fight in his UFC career and that he learned, quote-unquote, jiu-jitsu doesn't work and to get up.
The bottom line was, I tried to wrestle in 8 weeks, which you can't fucking do. I mean, that was really like, all right, I'm a wrestler now. I remember walking that fight with my head down, like, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. It just is what it is. I think I have the best counter wrestling in the UFC. I don't think there is one man on this planet who can take me down.
But after all the trauma he grew up with his father and his at-home life, the motorcycle accident, back-to-back losses, and years of clawing his way to become a top UFC middleweight contender after 2 straight massive wins, Sean Strickland earned himself the unfathomable, a shot for the UFC middleweight title of the world. Except he would have to attempt to take the belt from yet another UFC legend and future Hall of Famer who was on his legendary prime title run. The only man to knock out Alex Pereira in the octagon, Israel the Last Stylebender Adesanya. 5 months after Adesanya's iconic storybook knockout against Poatan in April 2023, Sean Strickland was booked to fight Adesanya at UFC 293 in September of 2023 in Sydney, Australia. Nobody, including myself, thought Sean Strickland had a chance. Strickland stood as a massive underdog with plus 490 odds of winning, a less than 17% chance to win the fight. I figured Izzy would stay on the outside, point fight, and cruise to a unanimous decision victory, but Strickland had other plans. Sean dropped Adesanya in the first round of the fight, nearly putting the fight away quickly, but Izzy stood strong and recovered. Yet for the next 20 plus minutes, Strickland continued to just pick Adesanya apart for 5 rounds straight, leading to a new UFC middleweight champion of the world, Sean frickin' Strickland. Yes, it was one of the greatest upsets in UFC title history. Sean Strickland's name was officially on the map now. He wasn't just a contender anymore. He was UFC World Champion. In his next fight, Strickland would lose his belt to a very tough and versatile Dricus du Plessis in January of 2024 in a razor-sharp, even controversial decision. Sean ended up taking down Paulo Costa to earn back another title shot against DDP at 185, but was dominated by DDP, breaking his nose in the 3rd round of the fight. But no matter what, besides the fact Sean Strickland is a world-class fighter, He stood relevant because of his personality and, of course, all of the shit that comes with it. In June of 2025, Sean Strickland received a 6-month suspension and was fined $5,000 from the Nevada State Athletic Commission for charging the octagon after cornering one of his teammates. Luis Hernandez defeated Sean's teammate, Miles Hunsinger, and following Hernandez's victory, he did a DX suck-it taunt in the cage directed at Sean and Chris Curtis, which led to this. So after a whole year layoff, this past February 2026, Strickland would take on an on-fire top middleweight contender, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. This guy was on an 8-fight win streak, tearing it up, but Sean was battle-tested and was consistently fighting the cream of the crop top competition. And as a plus 220 underdog, Sean Strickland did this.
Spent so much time doing jiu-jitsu and Anthony Hernandez on the ropes in round 3. Strickland. Fluffy is hurt. Big uppercuts. Sean's Fluffy. Sean's all over. And that's it. There it is. Sean.
Just like that, Sean Strickland came back with a massive finish against a really crafty 4th-ranked 185er and has punched his ticket to fight for gold once again. But this time, Sean was scheduled for a main event at UFC 328 against a seemingly unstoppable force. He would take on the undefeated 15-0 Wolf himself, Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat is one of the most intimidating, terrifying forces mixed martial arts has ever seen, ripping through and destroying nearly every fighter in his path. But Chimaev isn't invincible. Gilbert Burns pushed him to the absolute brink at UFC 273, and Kamaru Usman gave him another razor-close fight at UFC 294. And barely anybody picked Sean to have a shot to be Khamzat, as Strickland stood as a massive underdog yet once again in a main event title fight. A plus 380 underdog, a 20% shot of becoming a 2-time world champion. As expected, the build-up to this fight was electric. Two aggressive, violent guys who seemed like they truly hated each other, going at it for a world title. This fight was a promoter's wet dream. These two have trained and sparred together at Extreme Couture MMA, as there is a ton of hype and animosity built up for this fight. As of course, Sean's trash talk would come into play.
Neanderthal in this country who can't keep his shit together for 5 days. Listen, you don't want to see any of these motherfuckers fight that little Chechen war. You want to see the last fucking American in the sport going fuck that guy up, and that's what's gonna happen. You see those heathens over here? You shouldn't be allowed in this country. You guys are the definition of dog, and you need to get the out of America and stop ruining it.
So after all the shit talk and antics, this fight was lining up to be an absolute war in the trenches. Off the bat, in the first round, it seemed like Khamzat was just going to dismantle Strickland with his wrestling already taking down Sean within the first 20 seconds of the fight. But Sean Strickland weathered the early storm. Sean survived Khamzat's early wrestling onslaught, then took over in the second with stiff jabs, slick defense, and sharp counters over the top. He stuffed takedowns, forced Khamzat onto his back, and had the crowd erupting as Chimaev looked exhausted, like Rocky finally cutting Drago in Rocky IV. But Khamzat rebounded in the third, pushing at a furious pace, though Strickland still landed clean counters in a razor-close round. In the fourth, Khamzat's pressure, bodywork, and heavier shots began taking over, as Khamzat also seemed to break Sean's nose with the big overhand right. Sean defended well, but lacked effective power shots to keep Khamzat off of him and got taken down late in the round. With the fight hanging in the balance, both warriors emptied the tank in round 5. They both dogged it out to the bell, while Strickland kept firing his good old jab. But Khamzat's relentless pressure made this an incredibly close fight heading to the judges' scorecards. The judges had it 48-47 Strickland, 48-47 Chimaev, and 48-47
For the winner by split decision, and
the new middleweight champion of the UFC, Sean Sean frickin' Strickland has upset the odd makers and the entire world once again. Love him or hate him, whether you truly think he won or lost against Chimaev, Sean Strickland keeps surviving, proving people wrong, and gave Khamzat the toughest test he's ever had in his career. And now, Sean Strickland is world champion once again. Sean Strickland's no-filter personality overshadows how elite he actually is. Yes, he can definitely be a lunatic, but Sean Strickland truly isn't a bad guy. He's a good-hearted guy with world-class fighting skill and heart. Sean Strickland was constructed into an angry kid early in his life, growing up in an abusive household with a terrible father, getting bounced from a handful of high schools, spending evenings holed up in his garage, hitting a punching bag and watching old Pride and UFC fights, to taking down and defeating two of the best fighters in their primes that the world has ever seen. From a troubled kid with a dream to a two-time UFC World Champion, Sean Strickland proved that sometimes the toughest fighter to beat is the one who's already survived through hell. You can never, ever count Sean Strickland out.
School, I remember I was like in second grade, and I kept falling asleep at my desk, and my teacher took my desk away from me, and she made me like stand up. And so I'm like, fuck you, being a little kid, I just went and fell asleep on the ground. And mind you, like, the school system's like, oh, Sean, like, he's just a bad kid. They don't realize I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning, like, late. I mean, fuck, dude. I remember
it's hard to stay up late and learn.